many people who've come here and had their imagination sparked, and that has put a light on for them and for so many other people, to transform young people's lives by bringing history and culture and art into it, and opening their eyes to new possibilities and opportunities, and encourage them to reach the full extent of their ambitions and their talents. So no matter where you're from or who you are, it's here to bring us together, to remind us of our shared history, but also the common bonds that endure across languages, across borders and cultures. And that's what today is all about, making sure that everyone can appreciate our incredible history, inviting young people to bridge our past and our future, and igniting the passions and the talent of the next generation. And we are celebrating a brilliant initiative today. Everybody is walking around here with a smile on their face, and when the President yesterday announced to both houses what was going to be happening here, there was a great cheer went up, and that was representative, I think, of how this is being felt across the entire country. It is a brilliant initiative, because what Emmanuel, my friend, announced yesterday, this cultural exchange between our two nations, two of the great treasures of our history, the priceless artefacts of Sutton Hoo, which we've just been to see upstairs, absolutely incredible story, incredible artefacts, and the bio-tapestry, which means so much. And again, the smiles as people saw just the depiction on the wall behind me as we walked in tells you just how much this means. Because for Sutton Hoo, 1,300 years ago in East Anglia, a wealthy man, we don't know who it was, probably a king, was buried in a lavish funeral ceremony, an Anglo-Saxon era, that of course was put to an end 300 years later by William the Conqueror at the Battle of Hastings. But it is an incredible piece of history that we have here, just imagining what that must have been like, changing our whole perception of that era of history, frankly, and bringing so much learning to us. And of course the Battle of Hastings illustrated by the remarkable bio-tapestry, the beginning of 1,000 years of shared culture that is now defined by mutual admiration and kinship, as well, of course, as by some healthy competition, as anyone who is watching the Euros on Saturday will attest. But that history, that long history, forms the foundation of the European continent as we know it today. Now, both these treasures contain stories of war and of peace, of power and of politics, alliances and enemies, that we still know all too well in our modern world. They show us how connected our countries have always been. They deepen our appreciation of our shared history and enrich the relationship between our two nations today, because we are now entering a new era of world history, a time of huge change and turmoil that has led to insecurity for so many people. And in this new world, our alliances are, in my view, more important than ever. The strength and solidarity of countries that share the same values, the same aims, the same hope for the future. So, just as we stood together in the last century to bring peace to Europe, and it was a real privilege, Emmanuel, to mark Armistice Day in France, walking with you the same route as Churchill and de Gaulle once walked. Thank you so much again for that invitation to be there at that very special moment. And today the UK is proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with France, leading the coalition of the willing to support Ukraine, as well, of course, as working together to call for a sustainable peace in the Middle East. And at home, we're working together for our shared security and prosperity, creating jobs and growth for our people, tackling irregular migration, strengthening our defences to protect Europe from any threats, growing our economies and collaborating on the technologies of the future, and forging closer connections between our peoples with this cultural exchange, giving people across Britain the chance to admire the biotapestry. And there will be so many people who will want to come here to see that as soon as they can. And people across France to enjoy the treasures of ancient England. Well timed for the 1000th anniversary of William the Conqueror's birth in 2027. So as we look back together today, we are also inspired to look forward towards the future and remember that it is for us to write our own chapter of history now as two nations who forged peace, made our people better off, and remained the strongest of allies and the closest of friends. And on that note, it is a pleasure to welcome my friend, Mr. President Emmanuel, to speak to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.